Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. This live mailbag was filmed on Tuesday, so if anything changes, just work with me here a little bit. Friendly reminder, you can join all of our live shows on Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. So if you see Super Chat, guess what? Those questions are from the live show. This one, rolling in here from Julio. Hey, Mitch, how do you feel about our first-round picks in the last 20 years? A lot of misses. I mean, there's a lot of misses, especially when you look at just the last most recent picks that the Raiders have made. I mean, I would say realistically the best pick that the Raiders have made out of their last 10 first-round picks is Kolton Miller. Besides Kolton Miller, then I'd probably go with Josh Jacobs. I mean, look at this list here. I would say Amari Cooper should be on there. However, the Raiders, well, they traded him away. So Carl Joseph, bust. Garyon Conley, bust. Cleveland Ferrell, huge bust. Arguably maybe the biggest one on here. Jonathan Abram, bust. Henry Ruggs trending in the right direction, screwed up his life off the field. Damon Arnett, like Alex Leatherwood, lots and lots of busts. We got to be able to face the fact here. If the Raiders want to be able to succeed as a franchise, they need to start hitting on these first-round picks. And I'm hoping, new regime, that it actually ends up going down. This one rolling in here from Dick. So solid. Dixon, trade back, get more picks, and get the defensive tackle from Pitt. I like this idea a lot. I mean, the scenario that I give people a lot of the times is like, all right, would you rather take Jalen Carter at 7, or would you rather, let's say you trade back, you get Calijah Kancey, and then you're also able to get a Joey Porter Jr., a Devin Witherspoon because of where you were able to trade back. I like that idea a lot more than just getting Carter. Do I think Carter's a better tackle than Kancey? Yes, athletically. But if you were to say, okay, Mitch, which guy's going to put in more work, I do think Elijah's going to be the guy that puts in more work. Let's go to Jeremy Wiley, weird first name. How much will the draft be shook up if the Colts take Lamar, giving the Ravens the number 4 pick? What will our board look like then? I mean, it's a really interesting question. I don't think Indianapolis gets Lamar Jackson. Like, to me, that's been an organization historically that it's tried to build through the draft, and all the best quarterbacks that they've ever had have been through the draft, right? Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning. And recently, when they've tried to make trades or sign free agent quarterbacks, the older guys, it's backfired on them. So to me, the Colts aren't going to be a team that makes a move for Lamar Jackson. If they were to do it, though, it does. It would change up a lot of things, honestly, because then even if you're Baltimore, then I think that there's even more of a chance that they're going to take a QB, where 3 QBs go off the board. And then if I'm Baltimore, if I want the cheaper version, I'm not saying Anthony Richardson's even close to what Lamar Jackson is right now, but Anthony Richardson is a runner, and that's going to be a run-first team, so I think they would probably be a team that would look out for Richardson. Let's go to Anita. There's no way it's a real name. Which player that was on the team last season is the most likely to resign? I mean, I would say right now the top 2 players that were on our team last year that, like, you also got to be willing to bring them in. Like, they also have to be a fit. It's got to be a team need. I would say Duron Harmon, and then I'd probably go with Rocky Sin. Like, those are 2 good players on this roster where I'm surprised that Rox hasn't been signed anywhere yet. He's gone to a few different visits. But I would go with Rocky Sin or Duron Harmon. So my question to all of you out there, Jeremy just made this. Who is more likely to come back and play for the Raiders? Do you think it's Duron Harmon, or do you think it's Rocky Sin? If you had to bet, you're in Las Vegas right now. You're out rolling with Anonymous, Tim Nelson, Rude Boy, Julian, Juan Hernandez, and they said, all right, you got to put some money down. Where's your money going? Duron Harmon or Rocky Sin? Let me know down in the comments. Let's go to this question. Rolling in here from Raw Sports. Levis, Gonzalez, or Carter at number 7? I mean, from what I know right now, I'd probably go Chris Gonzalez, because to me, he's the safest one on this. Highest upside, technically it might be Will Levis because he's the quarterback. Jalen Carter fills the biggest need. If McDaniels and Ziegler said, which they did, that they plan on doing their homework on Carter and that they're going to be confident in whatever decision they make. Like, the only way you're taking Carter is if you know that he's going to be a good fit with you. If you don't think that Carter's going to be a good fit with you, then I'd say Chris Gonzalez. But I really don't want Will Levis. Too much of a risk at number 7. Let's go to Jose. Which receiver would you take round 2 as a number 2 for Adams? I'm not taking a wide receiver in the 3rd round or in the 2nd round. You got Jakobi Meyers. He's your number 2. Like, the Raiders, when they moved away from Darren Waller, the way people should look at that is Jakobi Meyers, a 3rd round pick, and then, you know, you're probably also able to add, I don't know, like a Philip Dorsett or something like that to help replace her. That's probably bad. I think the way you should look at it is Austin Hooper, Jakobi Meyers, and then that 3rd round pick is their job to replace Darren Waller. To me, yeah, you would have to have like Jackson Smith and Jigba fall all the way down to the 2nd round, which to me is not going to happen. We got to stop being so concentrated on adding talent to the offense. This draft needs to be defense, defense, and a lot more defense. Silent_Knight, Mitch, not sure if you saw Brady could come out of retirement and play for the Raiders after purchasing the Aces. I did see that Brady purchased the Aces, and I had a lot of people being like, oh, man, here we go. He's about to join the Raiders. I also saw the article that was from Peter King that said, like, basically you can't shut the door on the idea of Tom Brady coming out of retirement and joining the Raiders, which, I don't know. McDaniels spoke about it. He's like, I think Brady wants to be happy. He's going to take that year off. Like, bringing in Brady with Jimmy Garoppolo with the contract you already gave him, to me, does not make a lot of sense. So I'm going to say Brady to the Raiders, it ain't happening. If it does happen, it's going to be a wild show, 24 hours. Get your daily Raiders videos, the latest news, the latest rumors. We're also an interactive show, so hit your subscribe button. But I also want you to turn on your notifications. And we have a really cool thing here. It's called the Noti Gang. It's people that take pride in trying to be one of the very, very first people to comment on every single video that we do. So if you want to join the Noti Gang, here are the first 5 comments on the video I released on March 27th. Venom Sosa, Isaac Hernandez, David Reyes, Take Flight Task, and Aaron Zasbo. I would say right now, if I had to bet, Take Flight Task, there. Aaron, there. Right now, those might be the top 2 guys. Isaac Hernandez as well, and then Jaime Alvarado Sr., some other parts of the Noti Gang. Let's go to Zorn L. What up, man? If McClown goes 3-14, 4-13, or 5-12, and lost the team, he will not make it through 2024. Maybe. But what if you're McDaniels? What if you're Ziegler and you're like, hey, we're building a foundation. Now we have the opportunity to go out and get your franchise quarterback. Like, to me, that's my worry, right? Like, that would be my worry if I was Mark Davis. Now, if I was Mark Davis and that happened, I would look at that as, all right, let's get these 2 clown shows out of here, and then let's go hire a head coach, kind of like what Houston did with D'Amico, and now they have an opportunity to get their franchise quarterback, and then you build like that. To me, I really do think that they think that no matter what, that these 2 guys are going to be around for the next 2 seasons. We'll see. Let's go to Josh T. Mitch, what do you think it will take to trade up to number 3? I think it depends who's on the board, right? Like, if the first 2 quarterbacks go off the board are Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, then trading up to number 3 is a lot cheaper. If Stroud or Bryce Young are on the board at number 3, that price is going to go up high because other teams are going to be interested. If you look at the trade value chart, which I get it, you know, every team's going to be a little bit different. I would say for the Raiders to get from 7 all the way up to number 3, you're looking at your first-round pick this year, obviously, your first-round pick next year. Like, to me, you're not trading up to number 3 without giving up your first-round pick next year. So, forget about that. I'd say your first, and then you're probably going to have to throw in a 3rd-round pick on top of that, and then maybe even another 2nd in next year's draft on top of that. So, it's a lot of draft capital, but you got to love the quarterback if you're going to trade up that much to get him. Hopefully, y'all are going to be watching our live coverage here of the 2023 NFL Draft, and if you haven't already, get your hands on these brand new Raiders Draft hats. These are the Raiders Draft hats. We got the curved brim, we got the flat bill, we have the snapback version. There's in black, there's in silver. At least I like this silver color, though, because it kind of gives me like a retro feel, which this is the hat that I'm going to end up getting if any of y'all care. You can get it at the link that you see below. It's chatsports.com/RaidersDraft. I will admit, I showed this on the show on Monday, and I looked this morning. They're getting close to selling out. So if you want to get your Raiders 2023 draft hat, link's going to be in the comments. Link's in the description. It's chatsports.com/RaidersDraft. Let's go to the next question. Rolling in here from Chris Smith. which, by the way, I played baseball with a Chris Smith, and my aunt, she's a Chris Smith, and I went to high school with a Chris Smith. So thanks for watching. How many touchdowns will Jimmy Garoppolo have this upcoming season? I think the magic number that I would look for is somewhere between 25, 26, and 27. That's what I would like. Like, the best Jimmy Garoppolo season we have seen recently was back in 2019. That was the year the San Francisco 49ers lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but Garoppolo threw for just under 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. I think you're hoping that Garoppolo can get around that. He ain't throwing for 30 touchdowns, so get that number out of your mind. Let's go to Lord Buddy Bear, which Lord Buddy Bear, shout out to the coolest cat on the Raiders Report Hall of Fame. That's right, I got ChocoBear repping the jersey, and for those that don't know, $500 Venmo, I get your jersey here on the show, and I rep it. Buddy Bear's got his. ChocoBear's now got theirs as well. And special offer. If we get a $100 super chat while I wear your jersey, that's a boot. Those are the rules on the Raiders Report. If I'm wearing your jersey and you send in 100, it's a one-time offer. That's a boot. Let's go to Buzz-O-Matic 69. Raiders should use their draft picks to get a future quarterback. 1984, I was 10. All right. So he sent this in earlier about 1984. No, is somebody else, or is it still Buzz-O-Matic? He was 10 years old in 1984. Raiders should use their draft picks to get future quarterback. I do think that one of the things that you could potentially look at is, okay, you could look at all the picks that the Raiders have, and they're like, all right, we're just going to trade back. Trade back. Like, if you were at number 7, hypothetically speaking, and some team in the 20s said, hey, I want to go all the way up to number 7 and take a Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, and we're going to give you our first-round pick in next year's draft, do it in a heartbeat. Because I'm with this idea of I would rather the Raiders get their quarterback in next year's draft and use some of that draft capital to potentially trade up. Let's go to podcast. I don't want him, but I think Anthony Richardson, a Raiders pick. It was the old Raiders pick. I don't see it being this current Raiders regime pick. It's too much of a boom or bust prospect, and the Raiders can't afford to miss on number 7. Let's go to Raider 9765. The Raiders met with all the top quarterbacks. Who do you think the top QBs are? I mean, according to my rankings, to me it's Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, who they have met with both of those guys. They've also, I would say Will Levis should probably be up there. Anthony Richardson's got to be up there. Some people would say Hendon Hooker. He's not in my top 4, but to me, those are the top quarterbacks in this year's 2023 class. The question is, what round will the Raiders take a QB? There's a lot of people that think it's going to be round 1. Do they take somebody at pick 38 in round 2? Do you go in round 3 at pick 70 or 100? Do you wait until round 4 at 109? Do you go in round 5 where it's 141, 144, and then I want to say it's like 171? Or do you go even later in your 2-6, your 2-7s? What round will the Raiders draft a quarterback? Because I do think they end up taking at least one QB this year. David, you're next up here. We need a defensive tackle, bat along with another edge as well. Right now, the top 2 biggest Raiders needs are DT, and I'd probably say corner is still a need. I do think you need another linebacker. And edge, yes, you have Max Crosby. Hopefully, Chandler Jones is able to take that next step. But realistically, like, if you can't get after the quarterback, you're going to struggle in the NFL. So you need to be able to add another edge to your team. David, we agree. Mario, edge rushers in the draft, you choose. Choose. Nolan Smith is a dog, literally. In terms of my top rankings here, give me one sec. Edge rushers. Lucas Van Ness is a hell of an athlete, though. I don't know if I want the Raiders to draft him because that's like Alex's favorite player. Tyree Wilson I have obviously very high up. Will Anderson, those are the top 2. Myles Murphy is falling further and further down my board. I like Lucas Van Ness, Nolan Smith, because I'm looking at more like pick 38. I would say another really good player. I wish I would have seen Zach Harrison. Unfortunately for him, he got injured. A new Dyke, Azuma from Kansas State. He's a good player. I would say B.J. Ojolari, good edge rusher from LSU. Derek Hall from Auburn could be another name to keep in mind. And then, what's his name? Oh, my Lord. I'm totally blanking on him. From Texas. Overshown. He's a good breed of a linebacker and edge to me. depending on what type of system you use them in. Def Halo, straight up, whether we stand pat or trade back for more picks, draft and build a premier defense, cornerback, linebacker, defensive tackle in the first 3 to 4 rounds. I would say every Raider fan out there is begging, and I mean pleading to say, okay, if we're not going to do all that much in free agency, we need to be able to build in the draft, and I'm hoping that that's what this team decides to do. Def, we're on the same page, man. Before I wrap up today's mailbag, remember, get your news on Twitter, get my personal life on Instagram, and hey, if you got a birthday coming up, if you want a funny, I don't know, gift for somebody, I am available on Cameo as well. It is at Mitchell Renz 365 if you're ready to always get down.